This is our current project. It's a 1978 Kawasaki KZ400. This one's going to be a little different than before. We're kind of turning this into kind of a scrambler or more of an enduro style bike with the knobby tires, a little bit of a taller stance, scrambler exhaust pipes. We're naming it the Womp Rat, which is yet again another Star Wars reference. A couple things we've done to this bike. We stripped it down completely, took the frame in to get powder coated. Also, as many brackets as we could pull together, we got powder coated. We opened up the engine and replaced all the gaskets, did the piston rings, we got the head rebuilt. So this bike, there's no part of this bike that we haven't touched, even down to the cush drive bushing inside of the rear hub that nobody will ever see. I got a brand new replacement part for that. Other than that, this bike's gonna be comprised of mostly OEM parts. We restored a lot of the older parts like the master cylinder, the brakes, all that stuff is going to be pretty much OEM. I found a lot of new old stock parts online to replace some of the older parts with. There's going to be a removable luggage rack on the back, so if you're out exploring, you can throw your pack or your tent or whatever on the back of it. It's also a good spot for a backpack if you're going to school, and maybe some school equipment. Another cool thing about this bike is going to be the hand-painted pinstriping on the tank. We're having a local artist pinstripe a Womp Rat logo on both sides of the tank, so it's going to be very unique. You're not going to see anything else like it out there. The motor is the stock 400cc KZ400 motor. We went through the whole thing, tore it all apart, polished a lot of the pieces. Side covers are both polished. The piston rings were replaced. The entire head was rebuilt right next door. The exhaust pipes are going to be reminiscent of the early Honda Scrambler bikes. It's going to be kind of they're going to come off the head and swirl around over to the right side of the bike and exit right next to the engine on the side. They're going to be heat wrapped to kind of keep the burn risk to a minimum. And we're also going to try to direct the exhaust output away from the riders. Since this bike is going to be more leaning towards a scrambler or dirt bikes, kind of off-road style, we're trying to make it so that it will be able to take on some of those dirt paths out there in the desert, and you can still use it to go back and forth between home and work, or if you're going to school, it's a great in-town bike. But we also want to make sure that it'll be able to handle some of those off-road situations as well, just so you can go out and have a little fun with it. So the current progress is pretty good. Our next step is we're going to be fabbing up the scrambler pipes. So that should be done here pretty soon. Also, we got to tune up the head. We got to set the valve clearances, install the exhaust. We need to finish up the heat shield on the front. We also need to reinstall the carbs and have to run the electrical back to the taillight and make sure that everything starts up and is working properly. So the best way to keep up with the build progress is going to be to check out our Instagram. The Instagram handle is AspiRe Cycle, and we also have a Facebook that I try to update on the regular. Feel free to ask any questions you might have, and I will do my best to get back to you and answer your questions. So the goal for this bike is to get it ready by September for the Venice Vintage Motorcycle Rally. So if you're out there, you might see it. Come by and say hi.